Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Labeled Podcast, where we explore the stories, rumors, and legends of Tooth and Nail Records. My name's Matt Carter. I do this podcast along with Toby Morrell and Aaron Lunsford. And also, I'd like to introduce you today to a new producer on the show named Melanie Studley. You'll hear from her in this episode and more in the future episodes. But for now, let's get into the story this week about As Cities Burn.
Now, As Cities Burn was set up for success in a way that any band would be jealous of. But if you know anything about As Cities Burn, it is that success never panned out the way that everyone had hoped for. In this episode, we'll talk with Cody, Aaron, Colin, and TJ, as well as a few other key players in the band's success about their quick rise to the top and how in less than 2 years they went from being a huge breakthrough band with massive potential to being unable to communicate even the simplest things, stunting the growth of the powerhouse that is As Cities Burn. But first, let's go back in time and hear the story of the founding of the band from the members themselves.
My name is Cody Bonnet. I am the singer and guitar player of As Cities Burn, LLC.
Matt caught up with Cody at Audio Feed Festival in Illinois.
Where did y'all meet?
High school. We played our first show as Alliance 103 at a talent show, and we played Unite by the Supertones and Chick Magnet by MXPX. Nice. And Colin, who ended up being the guitar player of As Cities Burn, he was our lead singer, and a mosh pit broke out, and the principal jumped on stage, and when he went to grab the microphone, he punched Colin in the face, like his flying fist punched Colin in the face, and we stopped playing.
Now, I'm not sure if this is common knowledge, but you might not know that As Cities Burn did not always have the unique emo sound that so many have come to know and love. When they started out,
we were a ska band.
Crossing tops to ocean shores, I'm not exactly sure where we're headed.
How many years did y'all play ska and pop punk and that stuff?
Ska was maybe a year, and then pop punk for 2, and then we heard the band Thursday, and we were like, oh, whoa, this is cool. So we followed suit.
Actually, like Thursday's what made you go to heavy music?
Further Seems Forever first. Further Seems Forever, the first record, like that brought us into the neighborhood and got us like inspired to explore the kind of eerie sound and less like poppy sound, you know.
In your experience, what did those years feel like?
The beginning years of As Cities Burn. I can remember...
Like every show mattered,
yeah,
every practice
show,
mattered.
We'd look forward to it so much. And yeah, band practice was just breathe guitar, you know, like woke up, played guitar for a long time, you know, skipped classes in college to just play more and like learn. In the ska and punk band, I was the bass player. So the first band that I played guitar in was As Cities Burn. So like that was how I learned how to play guitar, was just kind of noodling around. And so came our first couple songs from that. It just felt like kind of becoming what you are.
here's Colin's take on Aaron joining the band.
We went from ska, slimmed down to a pop punk band a couple years later. And then we had always wanted TJ to play with us, and finally he committed. So we went from this pop punk thing to As Cities Burn and started small locally. But our drummer felt like God was calling him to leave the band. And so we were trying to find drummers, and we had the friend, of Tim Jordan. We knew Tim from 6 Degrees of Separation. He said, I've got this buddy, Aaron, I'd love to introduce you guys to. And so Aaron came down and basically just jammed with us.
And here's how Aaron remembers it.
But I'd never seen anything like it when I came down to Louisiana to visit and meet with them and audition, and went to one of their shows. I'd never seen a local band with that type of fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Like kids literally going nuts at the shows, singing all the words. Coming from Arkansas, there weren't really any bands like that.
Yeah.
So I thought this is really something going on here. Like that I didn't even know was a thing, and I was blown away.
Aaron and Cody hit it off right away. Cody tells us what he remembers from that time.
Aaron came in to replace our old drummer, Brian. So Aaron emails us, and he's like, says his favorite band is Five Iron Frenzy, and he's like, don't judge me, it's a loyalty thing. And from there, I was like, man, that's cool, because like I love Five Iron also, but it's definitely not the band you say first to try to get into like a kind of a heavier band, you know. And so I was like kind of open-minded to it at first right away. I just kind of had a feeling like I like the guy, and it just seems right.
So not only we were building this great fan base locally, we were out touring. We toured for a year or 2 years before we ever got signed. We started drawing attention from professionals and managers and stuff like that. And there's this guy, Ryan Rado, who ended up being responsible for a lot of Tooth and Nail bands getting signed. We met him at a show in Nashville, and I actually talked to him recently outside my barbecue stand and asked him what attracted him to As Cities Burn.
Currents grind, scale shine upon the watery way down. Shorelines are far from air, but I don't need them at all to stand in our eyes as we walk upon the water.
Guilt? Yeah, because I was not into it the first time I saw you guys, and then I saw you at Wendy's on West End, and I felt like a do-hat because I was not into it. So then you gave me your press kit that you made with the CD you made with those 3 songs, and I listened to it, and it was the
Okay.
It was, the heart was there. I could tell that y'all put your into this recording, even though the recording quality wasn't insane, but you guys didn't care because it meant something, and in turn it meant something to me, man, and then it meant something to a ton of fucking people, period.
So you were already noticed at that point for hard work, and you'd been out touring, you made the press kit, you made the recording. It was obvious that your input into it was very good. And so you guys originally, just from the very beginning, it seems, were interested in being on Tooth and Nail.
Yeah, I grew up a Tooth and Nail kid. I grew up listening to their bands. I have a tattoo of a Craig's Brother record on my arm. So it was a big deal to me. That was what we had our eyes set on. When we met Rado and he got behind us and he had his connections with Tooth and Nail, we saw a clear path to that being a possibility.
What was it like? What did it feel like after you got signed?
Dream come true. Getting signed to Solid State was a dream. Like, grew up listening to Slick Shoes, MXPX, and all these bands on Tooth and Nail that really liked, and that would, like I said, was the first label that I would have chosen.
So As Cities Burn hits the ground running. They have a decent local following and get signed to their dream label, and things start to happen.
We came out of the gate swinging, I think, like on our small scale that we are, or at least compared to where we had been playing, small shows, as an independent band. And now we're getting in front of a lot of people. We went on tour with Dead Poetic, went on tour with The Chariot, He Is Legend, and the response was awesome, and it was overwhelming.
This is what real men keep quiet. It's all that exists if you can hide it behind your teeth and sleep. You sleep at night next to your wife, who you love too much to tell her you don't love her at all. Like this feeling.
What did you think was going to happen after it went so well on Son, I Loved You at Your Darkest? What did you think?
Honestly, whenever that Son, I Loved You at Your Darkest kicked off, it was just happening too fast. Beginning to be in a band and play was early 2003. and we were signed in 2004. So we were touring for like maybe a year independently, which seemed like a long time. But looking back on it, 2 years to like be literally nobody in Baton Rouge, and then like now we're on tours, like real tours. Like it happened too fast. So I'm not even sure I really even knew what I was doing, what was going on. I was along for the ride.
So yeah, our record came out on Tooth and Nail, and the things that are supposed to happen started happening. We started getting really good tours, Dead Poetic, Emery. We started standing on the shoulders of the bands that had come before us, and that's what's supposed to happen with a label like Tooth and Nail, right? Where the other bands are doing great, they start pulling up the little bands, and it was working for As Cities Burn.
Yeah, it definitely was. I remember, Toby, do you remember As Cities Burn just being some new name and then all of a sudden exploding?
It was like it happened overnight. Like you were out with a pretty good sized band, and then the next time I saw a poster, you were out with a bigger band, and then a bigger band, and things just started rolling.
Yeah,
where
we
I
were
was
like, we got to
oh
get them
my
on our
gosh.
tour. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I thought
we
it
had
was
to
just
get you.
responding to what was going on. Like, wow, they did good on that. I'm hearing their name. I saw them. We got to get them on our tour, and then that kept on. You went and did Under Oath after that.
Yeah, we knew we had to get you before you got too expensive.
That's right. And then there's a thing that happens is where bands don't realize how lucky they are. They just think they need the next opportunity. And then other bands that were there before look back and go, man, it was easy for them. They had all this in place to go straight to the top.
It was really fun. It was the whole Tooth and Nail, signing to Tooth and Nail was working. We get the Dead Poetic, we get Emery, we get Under Oath, we get Warped Tour. Things are moving in the right direction. It's going great.
Well, it was going perfectly. Not only was As Cities Burn doing great, but the genre itself of singing and screaming or screamo or whatever you want to call it had totally just blown up. And it went from this fringe thing that a few people were into to high school girls talking about how they loved breakdowns and were just seeking this stuff out. It was totally almost mainstream, you could say.
Let the dead bury the roads and let the dead bury the road. Let the dead bury the roads and let the dead bury the broken. Bury the broken. Will you still love me in heaven? As with love began at the harvest, or would you get the whole world? Said I loved you at your darkest. What good is the whole world when I promise no tomorrow? I only promise your tomorrow. Will never take you past my phone.
But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I think everybody can feel it coming. Aaron, were there already tensions and problems and things brewing right in the midst of your breakout success?
Yeah, we had problems. I mean, there were little problems like band members just not getting along. In particular, me and our bass player Pascal didn't really like each other that much.
Well, the other thing that people don't know is that Pascal was a drummer as well, so he was very critical of your playing.
Yeah,
and
he was.
just did, and y'all's personalities did not mesh whatsoever.
Well, but I would argue, and I feel bad that I have such power of the microphone right now over anybody else in the band. But he didn't mesh well with anybody in the band, if you ask me.
Well, y'all all have your own personality quirks, I guess you could say. Colin also talked about some of Cody's a little bit.
Cody's very passive aggressive. Though he, like in the writing process on some things, would be very strong about his opinion, but the day-to-day stuff would be pretty quiet. As we milled around, he would read books and keep to himself until something pissed him off, and then it would be a very assertive opinion, usually for a brief period of time, like, no, we're doing this. And everyone was always like taken aback, like, oh God, Cody's pissed. What do we do? So yeah, Cody, his personality in general, he's pretty passive and quiet until he decides to be assertive on something. And then it's like line in the effing sand. Are you with me or against me?
Okay, but so was there a time when everything was good and you were being successful and realized it?
Yeah, well, I'll say that. I mean, me, Colin, Cody, and TJ always got along really well on a friendship level. Me and Colin butted heads a little bit here and there. But for the most part, that was all fine on a friendship level. But yeah, like on that Emery tour that we did with y'all, the Question tour, we were just like, man, this is really, really happening right now. Like, this is absolutely insane. I can't believe we just sold $3,000 worth of merch at a show in California. 2,000 miles from where we live. So that was blowing our minds. So everybody was happy and thought it was cool. And we were doing the music we wanted to do. We were having fun.
So you thought your personality conflicts were just normal?
I did. Yeah, I thought they were normal enough outside of Pascal. But Colin actually had some good insight to, even though things were good, we worked really hard and we probably took more tours than we should have. And Colin talks about the toll that took on our band.
We don't get along like Emery does. While we got along, like still stuff would just kind of build up. And so we back-to-back all our touring up to signing, the process, the 4 or 6 weeks we did in the studio, and then immediately touring after. The Dead Poetic tour, now that I remember, we recorded and went on it before we had a record out. And then we put a record out and then immediately went on tour with Emery. And just a long time back-to-back. And I think it just heavy fatigue. And, when you get heavy fatigue and you're looking for a way out, TJ had met Haley, his ex-wife, and I think that just really gave him an opportunity to have a way out.
A girlfriend entering the picture is one of the classic reasons that bands have problems, and no different here.
Yeah, I mean, the touring Colin was talking about, the back-to-back. I did the math one time. After we recorded our record, there was a 33-week span towards the end of the year, and we were actually on tour for 31 weeks out of those 33 weeks.
Good Lord.
And it was just so much work. We were grateful to be doing it, I guess, but we didn't realize what it was doing to our morale, I guess you could say. So
the word sustainable wasn't really part of anybody's vocabulary in those days.
No, it's just go hard, you got to stay on the road. Got to keep going. Got a girlfriend? Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you don't know when you're so new and fresh that if you pass up this tour, it could be the big break.
Oh, I know. It would drive you insane. Like, well, we can't say no.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You can't say no
You
to a
can't
tour.
say no.
You can't say
Yeah.
no. It's all you've ever worked for. Plus, you wind up putting this pressure on other band members. I've seen it a lot, to where everybody is making sacrifices. So you have no problem pushing your singer to make a sacrifice and not see his girlfriend. That's the culture that you start to breed in the band, that nobody goes on vacation, nobody complains. We don't hold this machine up for one guy, especially for his girlfriend. But again, that's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, so we had done the Dead Poetic tour. We had hopped on with you guys, and it was supposed to be this big manufactured sellout tour, smaller rooms. And the way the bands gelled, it was a bunch of like cooler, hipster, heavy bands. And it was just darker. It wasn't like, let's play baseball in the parking lot. It was immediately like, where's the bar? The morale of the band at that point was just pretty hardcore. And I think there was a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, like, we're going to get off tour. But I was a slave driver. Like, I loved being on tour, and I knew it's what we needed to do. And so we probably, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't have taken a tour or two, but every tour that we were on was good for us. I mean, from you guys to the Bled, that's like right in our wheelhouse. And so I think we did a bad job of not hopping off the road to just collect ourselves.
In fact, things got so bad that one day,
we were sitting in a McDonald's and TJ said, I'm done. I'm going to get married and everything. And we were all really, morale was kind of low at the time. We were like at the end of a 2-month kind of, or maybe 4-month, like straight tour after tour after tour with little break in between. And we were just kind of burnt out, and it had kind of like lost its luster.
here's Colin again talking about that same night.
And TJ was just like, I'm done. This has been too much.
So another factor that is certainly at play here is money. Now, when you're out supporting other bands, when you get these great tour offers, they are great opportunities. You're playing in front of 1,000 people, but you're only making maybe $100 or $200 a night. And if you can have the vision and stick with it, you realize that soon you'll be able to headline, and the big money is right around the corner. But it's often hard to see that, and that really compounds the tension when you feel like you're being successful and doing all you can and you're still not even making any money. Meanwhile, you have a girlfriend at home. This is kind of the situation under which TJ quit, right, Aaron?
Yeah, we were starting to make a living. Like, I was going home with money at the end of the tour and that type of thing. And our summer plans had already been started to get made. We had the Under Oath tour booked. We had Warped tour done. We even had a headlining tour planned for the summer, and we knew how much money that could mean for our band. And our career and just the advancement that is, because headlining is such a big deal. And now our singer's quitting. We're kind of panicking. We don't know how to deal with it or what to do.
So what do you do when your front man leaves? He's basically the focal point of the band. He's who everybody's looking at. Everybody loves his voice. He's the one delivering the message, the one that people want to shake his hand, take the picture with, and he's gone right at the very moment when it's all supposed to pay off. You've done the groundwork for years. You've been refining your sound, your look, your image, building your fan base, and you finally have a grip on what it is. You've done the sacrifice. You've done the miles. You've done the touring. Here it is. It's time for your band to finally come into its own, and your singer is gone. Now, As Cities Burn had a unique approach of how to proceed next, and we'll get right back to that story after a quick break here.
All right, since this whole episode is dedicated to As Cities Burn, it seems only right to put their vinyl on sale. 2 of the band's most beloved albums, Son, I Loved You at Your Darkest and Come Now Sleep, are both available on vinyl right now. And by the way, hopefully we'll have Hell or High Water soon. For the next 2 weeks, you can pick either of these albums for 35% off in our merch store. Just enter the promo code LABELED, that's LABELED, at solidstate.merchnow.com. Again, these albums are 35% off for only the next 2 weeks, so pick yours up on the cheap while you can. One more time, that's promo code LABELED, LABELED. Get your records now. Despicable Wolves is back with their first full-length album since 2012. You're listening to Haunt Me, a track off their new album, Dead in the Shadow. Dead in the Shadow will release everywhere July 21st. The band is going to be on tour with He Is Legend throughout July and August, so make sure you head over to their Bands in Town page and see if they're coming through your town. Again, Dead in the Shadow is available everywhere on July 21st. Pick it up then or pre-order it now on iTunes at solidstate.merchnow.com.
Between 2 wayward ones, I was more deserving of my parents' love. I had angels.
So, As Cities Burn has lost their lead singer. Well, actually, let me correct that. They lost their lead screamer, which is quite a different thing. You see, bands in this era came up in a time when screaming was actually kind of frowned upon and seen as a hindrance to bands. They said if you quit hollering and just sing normal songs, maybe make a radio song, you could be successful. You could be a breakout band. And As Cities Burn maybe fell into that a little bit, and they took the opportunity uniquely to not replace the lead screamer and stick with Cody, his brother, who did the singing and wrote all the lyrics anyway. So it's quite an economical solution that also seemed like it could lead to even bigger commercial success from their view.
When we decided to stay together in the end and without TJ, and we realized, oh, we're going to be even bigger because now we're going to be like Jimmy World, be a big rock band because we're not screaming no more, so we can be on the radio.
But because people didn't like screaming, or they did though? I mean, did you didn't think screaming was a big part of your success?
We didn't realize that. We thought, oh, these are like our group of fans, but if we want to be popular to the whole world, so we were like, all right, Cody, who can sing and was already doing some singing, Cody will be our front man and the singer, and we'll be huge.
Because we're going to kind of give the screaming the axe. Maybe our sound will be more accessible, and also it's our second record, so maybe the next record kind of you grow in sales. So we kind of pictured it as like a growing thing.
So when TJ was done, what was the new musical approach? What was the plan?
When TJ was done with the band, we wrote like the song "The Horde" and I think "Tides," and couple of earlier songs on Come Now Sleep.
She's now my new son. She don't speak, but somehow calls to me. Automated exchanges.
But the band actually began to get smaller from that point on. Even though, ironically, like I like the music more and more as time goes on.
So you like the music on Come Now Sleep better
then,
than Son I Loved You Your Darkest?
yeah. Overall, the songs I think are better. I think some of the guitar work on "Son I Loved You at Your Darkest" is the best stuff that I've done guitar-wise.
With TJ gone, Cody's like, oh, I can draw from all these influences that I really, really like, Dave Bazan's and Jimmy Eat World's and stuff like that, and make a record that I really, really want to make. And so that's what we set out to do with the second record. Like I said, with the thought that it'll just be bigger anyway.
Okay, so that was unified. Everybody was excited about the new direction.
So Cody was pretty excited about where we were heading musically, and I was too. And so we started writing and making rough demos, but Colin had a little bit different view of where we were headed.
When I first heard The Horde, which is the first song, Aaron was just like, oh my God, I'm in love with this. This is insane. And I was just like, I don't get this. I don't get this. But I'm a dude in the band and I believe in Cody, and there will be 9 other songs that back it up.
So Colin, the least musical member of your band, was right. Do you feel that way, Aaron? That even though you guys loved your music, what did that mean for commercial success?
Well, we lost half our fan base when that record came out, so.
So do you feel like you were wrong? I mean, that really is a good question.
Tell me, Come Now Sleep, how was it received?
I don't know. I don't know how it was received. Some people told me some really awesome things, like they weren't a fan of the band before, and now they are a fan. And then I've also heard Love Your First record didn't really get into the other stuff as soon as you guys changed. So yeah, because the style shifted so much, of course we lost some and gained some, and it made no difference to me actually.
You weren't bummed that it sold less?
No.
But Cody's nonchalant attitude was not shared by everyone else in the band.
You always look at first week sales. That was a big thing back in the day. And it was like half of Son I Loved You. And Son I Loved You came out before anyone knew who we were. And so you're playing shows and people are encouraging, but we immediately lost this whole contingency of heavy listeners. And the time it was like, well, screw them. We're just going to have to rebuild this thing.
So this is where it seems like Cody was really affected. So the stage was set with TJ leaving and then him doing that. And then the first thing out of the gate with him at the helm was a flop.
That sounds harsh, but compared to what the label hoped our second record would do, yeah, it was a massive
Not just
failure.
the label, everybody.
All right, everybody.
Your
yeah.
friends, us, your fans, yourselves, the label, everyone expected the second album to do better.
Yeah, commercially, it was a massive flop.
Now, Brandon Ebel, the founder and owner of Tooth and Nail Records, often has commented to me privately on this record itself and what he thought he could have happened had As Cities Burn done the right follow-up.
As Cities Burn got all artsy and changed their sound. I mean, the second As Cities Burn record to me is incredible. I mean, they're really good. And if they would have done a follow-up, that was like their first record, it would have been 100,000.
Do you think it would have been like Under Oath Part 2 or something?
Maybe it sold 1 million, maybe bigger.
Yeah. All they had to do was do it.
Yeah. The access they had, though, I was the golden boy at EMI at that time. So, like, if they would have handed in the right record, all I had to do was flip the switch.
When Brandon says flip the switch here, he is referring to EMI, who was the parent label of Tooth and Nail at the time, and who had had massive success and put tons of money into blowing up bands like Under Oath, and certainly could have done the same thing with the right record from As Cities Burn. Now, Cody, on the other hand, doesn't seem to engage or even care about money, success, or the numbers. Here's Cody.
Does it matter that I didn't sell 100,000 records on my second CD or something? I don't think so, because I'm hoping that I will write more songs in the future. So that's me being an artist where I just want to contribute to the world in that way. And that's why I'm looking for the more pure mindset. And it has less to do with how many people are at the shows or how well you're doing as far as record sales go.
And then here's Colin, who seems to have another take altogether.
I just like being in a band. Like I'm a band guy. And so this is going to make me sound like a jerk, but I care less about musical integrity than I do like having fun, writing good music and doing it. Where Cody and Aaron are like, I don't care what people think. We're going to write the music we like. And we're going to have a very high level of integrity when we write this. I was like, let's write fun music and let's jump around on stage. And if we can have a positive impression on the kid, that to me, that's a huge win. Where they wanted more music credibility, which it's hard for me to relate to, but I think is a very fair thing for them to want.
So what I hear is a band, some individuals, a team, and a label all trying to just make sense of what's going on, and everybody chooses a slightly different path. The issues at play here are integrity, musical direction, credibility, and financial pressures. Here's manager Ryan Rado on the topic.
Sell records. It doesn't matter what it was. Sell records. They're a business. They're there to sell records, period. You can have people that relate to the bands, but at the end of the day, Brandon needs to make money because he has set up a business to do so, and that's it.
Yeah, so at this point, you guys started to really fight even about philosophy behind what the band was supposed to be doing.
It was difficult to navigate.
The band did actually make more records, and the music is incredible, and there are many fans that love their second and third records, Come Now Sleep and Hell or High Water.
They fix your brain when you were young. They fix your brain when you were young. They fix your brain, they fixed it before you knew the difference.
Now, Cody and Aaron got along pretty well as they continued to be the creative force in these subsequent records, but they even drifted apart and began to have their own tensions, in that Cody seemed to continue to withdraw and thwart pressure and not really want to play ball or do anything for anybody else.
I am aware that maybe, when people say, oh, he's an artist, like they'll have these kind of like, this guy is like, you want to walk on eggshells around him because you don't want him to like leave tour or whatever. Yeah. Like I'm aware that maybe I'm not the easiest person to be in a band with, but calling my actions selfish or that I'm being selfish, I don't think that I'm just doing what I need to do for myself, and also just kind of listening to the creative voice that's inside of me. And if that's saying nothing, then I'm not going to like sit around and, just kind of jack around on a guitar and make something work, because I guarantee you I could have done that a long time ago and put out more CDs and made money for Aaron and myself, just kind of getting through and going through the motions, but I don't want my discography to be anything of that nature.
Okay, so now we're getting into the tricky part of the episode. Cody says that he likes playing music with Aaron, but he thinks that Aaron doesn't have enough musical integrity and doesn't even want to play his drums.
It makes sense to me to continue, but a guy's got to want to play the drums.
While Aaron is endlessly frustrated at the fact that Cody cancels last minute, changes his mind, and won't focus on things like the numbers and financial security. And so, during the tracking of this episode, Toby had enough of listening to the back and forth between Cody and Aaron, and he kind of lost it a little bit. Because he's a professional touring musician himself and fully understands the ins and outs of what it takes to make it work. And so here's Toby giving Aaron a piece of his mind in regards to the way that Cody has put As Cities Burn into a perpetual stalemate.
Aaron, I know this makes you feel uncomfortable, but you are my close friend, and what Cody is saying sounds so awesome, and it's romanticized, and that he just wishes you were playing the drums, but he doesn't realize that the reason you're not playing drums is because of him. That a new As Cities Burn record was never going to happen, not because of you not playing the drums. It was because Cody has all these stipulations about what As Cities Burn has to be that he's completely unaware.
Man, you cornered me, Toby.
You need to say this. Why are you avoiding it?
I don't know.
You don't want Cody's...
No, but this is our band. That's what I'm saying. This is our band. We don't even talk about this.
I know, but I mean, what Cody's saying isn't true to you, right?
Well, no.
I mean, is what Cody's saying true to you?
Not to me, no.
Right. You see a different picture than anybody else gets to see. And so what Cody sees isn't accurate. The truth is, Cody sets stipulations and says that As Cities Burn has to be this way, and this way, or else it won't exist. And so you could not put your family in that position. You could not put yourself and your family in that position, or else it might really hurt you and your family even.
So at this point in the podcast, Toby, Matt, and Aaron had sort of a fortunate mistake. They stopped rolling for the episode, but forgot to turn their mics off. And so the remaining audio from this episode is from their candid conversation that wasn't even intended to be used in the show itself, but revealed a lot of really insightful things about the miscommunications and struggles within As Cities Burn.
Well, I think it's really unfair. This isn't being recorded. I'm just talking in the microphone, but I'm just saying, like, Cody sounds really awesome. All the things he's saying are completely oblivious and completely romanticized about what music business is, except for you and Colin specifically realize that music business is a business. And Cody does not want to acknowledge that. He wants to acknowledge that music is music. And if that's the case, play it in your garage. But if you're going to play it for people and that are paying you to play that music, then he has no clue what that takes. I mean, he really did something, in my opinion, kind of vicious to you. There's so much money that was on the table for you and your family that was taken away by Cody. And he does not realize that. He thinks that you just don't play your drums anymore. I mean, is that not crazy? His words are, Aaron has a drum kit and doesn't play them anymore. Except for you wanted on your side more than anything else, you wanted to play that drum kit with him. And you thought so highly of him that you would exclusively play drums for the songs that he could write. And he has no clue. Like, I mean, that really bothers me. You know, he's oblivious to the fact that he does not understand he's dictating your life still because of the business, the music that you guys have created together. I think that's what I'm saying. I don't want this episode to let him off the hook that he gets to be the cool lead singer that cares about music, because he doesn't give a shit if your family makes money, because he doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. And I love the dude. I think he's fun. I like him. This isn't anything about him. The truth is he's completely unaware.
I mean, it sounds to me like he wants to make a new record and he'd start on it today, is what he's telling me.
Now back to Cody and Matt.
What do you want to do with Aaron now?
I want to complete the songs, the 10 songs to compile a record and release it.
A new As Cities Burn.
Yeah, that's the main goal.
What
yeah,
you want to do.
Yeah, and then the touring can come after that. Like maybe a tour comes up or shows, or we make our own tour. That's fine with me. Just finish a record.
And it's alright, it's alright. And it's alright, it's alright. Everybody is a failure in this life.
After how many times have I...
I know. I was just saying his point of
That's
view.
it.
He
No, I
doesn't
know.
realize it, but he thinks, yeah, I'd put out the live record. I'd put out a new record. As soon as Aaron wants to come, he said, all I want is band practice on Tuesday nights. But that's not true, but that's what he thinks.
I
That's not
actually really
true.
did think, hold on, wait a minute. Is there a way, TJ lives in Nashville now. Is there a way for one night a week to get these fools together and write the record that should have blown y'all up?
We talked about. I don't even know.
Listen.
No, we tried to do
Could
that
you
last
write the
summer.
record that should have been
No,
the
I
record that maybe that's the name of this episode. The record that should have been.
I don't think
It
so.
never happened.
I don't
No,
think
you can do it right
I don't think you
now.
can capture lightning in a bottle just that easily.
Nope. Here's what you are missing. TJ is back.
Yeah,
The reason you broke up was TJ left. TJ is back, so now Cody has to write for TJ.
I know, but we tried that 2 summers ago with that tour. We wrote 2 songs with TJ, and a lot of people didn't like them. So
Maybe y'all were actually a really bad band, just that had a big ego.
I called Cody and I said, okay, we can scrap all the plans because he was getting stressed out about planning. Because I was trying to plan the year out, 2017.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, here, let's make a target for when we want to try to go into the studio. Let's make a target for if we're going to do any tours, like that type of thing. And he started freaking out on it again. I was like, okay, we can scrap all that. We don't have to do. All right, I get it. You don't want to freak
You
yourself
immediately
out.
made it easy for him.
Yeah, I said, but I want to, if we're going to write a record, I want a commitment from you in the fact that let's launch a crowdfund like soon. Let's start planning that and do it so that I know it's going to happen.
And what did he say?
He said, can't do it.
He
said, I want to
actually said that to
Yeah,
you?
he said, I want to have at least half a record done before we do that. And I said, I can't do it. This is too much. It was too stressful. Because like, what am I going to spend the next 3 months trying to write 5 songs with you? And then we have an entire EP of songs from the summer before that all that needs to be done is vocals for a side project band that Cody never finished. That I spent however many practices, however many writing sessions,
months,
however many going down to Louisiana to work with them and play a show on them, and going to the studio with Keach and recording the songs. And they're just there with no Cody vocals because he decided that he didn't want to finish them. So you tell me if I'm wrong for wanting to get him financially committed. He wanted to wait until there was a full record worth of songs written.
Which would take you a ton of time and resources, and still there's a high likelihood that he's going to bail.
Yeah, he might not even do it.
No, that was my point. But I was like, if we do a Kickstarter and we can get some money in the bank and actually, I was just like, look, Cassie just found out she's pregnant. I'm having 3 kids. I'm stressed out about all the time commitments I have here.
And he's single.
And you're single. I didn't say that. I want to be like, you don't have problems.
Right.
You have single problems, but
they're not problems.
Yeah. But I'm actually worried about my future in paying rent and stuff. And I will give you everything I have. But no, I'm not going to come jam in a room with you because it's a waste of time.
So we played some of these clips for Cody to get his perspective because we felt like maybe we weren't giving him a fair chance.
Do you understand Aaron's point of view?
Do I understand Aaron's point of view on what? What area?
I mean, on the tape you just heard, do you understand Aaron's point of view about
but
wanting to, like, you have the talent. He thinks
but
you're great. He's committed to you.
Yeah.
Y'all can make great stuff. And he feels like it compromises him and being professional and making money and moving forward. Like, you see how that's frustrating for him?
Yeah, I do understand. But what you're asking about is, do you like Kickstarter or do you like a record label? If Aaron were to say, hey, forget the Kickstarter, let's do a record label and get an advance from a record label, that would mean different things to me than doing a Kickstarter, because a Kickstarter is like we're selling you something that just doesn't exist yet, and we don't know how long it's going to take, and we're going to build, there's like this hype and this pressure that I don't really deal well with knowing myself. So all that I was asking from him is the same thing he's asking from me, is just a deposit. And he's asking me to deposit my faith in the band, and I'm asking him to deposit his faith in the band by donating his time. Like, you know, I don't think it would take that long. It's taken us literally 3 weeks to write 3 songs because we wrote a different song every practice for 3 weeks in a row. And these songs still have work to do, but we just got together and tried it. So that was always my theory, is that, you know, why don't we just get together, and then if we have 3 to 5 songs, is what I said, then we'll have something that we know what we're selling, so we have a vision and we can sell that. But what Aaron's saying is, let's get the money from them now, and then we'll make it easier on ourselves. And what I didn't believe is that he would have the money and actually maybe show up for practice. I don't know. He's not like, I don't think he'd really let us down, but I don't know. I just wanted to cover my own butt because, well, you know, I didn't know what happened with his panic attack at our San Diego show. So I didn't know if he was really wanting to play music again or could play music again, because it seemed like for the remainder of that tour, it was like, is he going to be able to finish a show? Does he want to play anymore?
We bear your name, and you let us say you are something that you're not. As if you were made after we saw our own faces. faces. Knew we were gods enough. I think we were made too pretty.
So I'm not trying to persuade you one way or another, but when we listen back to these tapes and all of these conversations, the biggest thing that I'm hearing is that these guys are not communicating with each other. I feel like a middle ground could be met between what Cody wants and Aaron wants and TJ wants, but they just don't know how to get there. And they keep blaming the other for the problems, whether it's wanting to do an album with a record label or wanting to use Kickstarter or anxiety or any of those things. They just keep pointing the finger at everybody else and saying, "You're the reason we can't go forward." And maybe the worst part of all is the regret that they have when they look back at the choices that they made when things were really going well. Here's TJ talking about his regrets.
You know, what if? And, you know, I mean, that's a tough thing to do to yourself when you're just like, gosh, why didn't we? But yeah, I mean, I would shoot. If I could go back, I think I would make a different decision. I still think I could have, because if in the event it would have been that successful, having a relationship probably would have been able to work out.
Sometimes I think back and I think, man, maybe if we had just stuck it out and worked really hard and tried to tour smart and just kept making records, maybe we could have been Jimmy Eat World, you know? Maybe we could have got over that hump and built that new fan base and become a long-term success band. But the relationships in our band and the mental stuff and girlfriends, wives, it just got in the way for the next, I don't know, for the last 7-8 years.
So now we have a clearer picture of what pulled As Cities Burn, one of the coolest hardcore bands ever, apart. And now they have a clear idea of what can bring them back together. Better communication and a clear goal that everyone can agree on, right? And after letting everybody hear the recordings from the rough draft of this episode, it seems like maybe their minds have changed a little bit about how they feel about each other and what's possible for the future.
So tell me, what are your intentions for the future of As Cities Burn?
I'd like to add to our discography. We have 3 records that I'm proud of, and I'd like to put another one out there that I'm proud of. And hearing what these guys are talking about, hearing their candid conversation, yeah, sure, I agree. I know that it was hard to be in a band with me. You know, it's just a matter of like keeping communication, and but we're all loyal to each other, like friends, freaking thick and thin. I think we've remained friends with and without music, which is awesome. So of course I'd love to play music. I want to play more music. I think whenever we get together, it's still a little bit touchy because there is like some eggshells we're walking around on, and I'd like to see us get more comfortable and more honest and more adventurous with our suggestions to one another while we're writing songs. But that's just, it comes with trust in a relationship. Like whenever I say to Aaron, I don't like something, it's not because I don't think he has a good idea. It's like, I think there's something better inside for you to do. And I'd like for him to say the same thing to me. And he has before, when we trusted each other and we were close and we weren't scared that the other person was going to leave. Like I don't want to be scared about him leaving. Shit,
cool.
I just want to put my money where my mouth is, and like I said, just
so you want to do a new
practice.
ACB record?
Yeah, for sure.
Can you let Toby off the hook?
Toby, yeah. Everything that Toby says is in one direction extreme, and then everything that I'm gonna say to defend myself is in the opposite direction extreme. So the truth is right in the middle, which you be the judge for that.
Did any of that hurt your feelings or upset you or anything?
Nothing hurt my feelings. I think like
Thank you for listening.
I look at it as something I can like learn something about myself, and even in like harshest way.
But that's not that surprising to hear him say that, right?
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was curious. I didn't want to feel bad about
I've heard that.
for
I've
you,
heard
but
that.
that's what he that's what he thinks.
It makes me conscious of it in a way that like I'd like to actually be more normal and not be that way. But I also realize like I'm that way because like, well, maybe the music's the way that it is because I'm that way. So like, why change? Why try to change someone? But communication is key. And the ironic thing about this, on this podcast, it's clear that we don't really talk that much. We're hearing each other's point of view when the podcast airs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we'll work on it. I think we're good at writing songs together. So I want to do another record with TJ, Aaron, and Steven. Think we're doing it.
Focus on the horizon, then should you grow seasick, but don't expect silhouette rescue ships coming.
So that's our episode for today. The Labeled Podcast has officially stepped in as band therapists, and hopefully we can add some clarity, heal some old wounds, and bring these dudes together so they can give us more of their amazing music in the future. Fingers crossed.
Thanks again for listening. I'm your host and producer of the show, Matt Carter, along with Toby Morrell and Aaron Lunsford. The show is edited by Melanie Studley and Billy Power and mixed by Brett Baird. Thanks to our assistant producers, Reva Hansen and Marshall Fremuth, and special thanks to Adam Scatula from Tooth and Nail for helping to develop the show. See you in 2 weeks. Make sure you tell a friend and leave us a review on iTunes.